Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, the one and only Strawberry Ice. Welcome to the show. Alright, we've had a lot of stuff happen here since our last episode. The biggest one is Joe freaking Burrow. By far, my opinion, the best quarterback prospect to come out since Andrew Luck. If the Bengals don't draft him, then Mike Brown is dumber than I think he is. He's the number one pick overall. I've had lots of people ask me, hey, Strawberry, what if Carolina, since they got Brady as their offensive coordinator now, what if they offer him, Cam Newton and a fungo bat and 27 draft picks and all this stuff? Okay, question. What has Cam Newton ever done, really? I mean, honestly, he's taken them to one Super Bowl. The man is injured. Don't get me wrong. He's a great athlete. He's a good quarterback. He's a great athlete more than he's a quarterback. But he's injured. Carolina doesn't even know if they even want him. Carolina doesn't even know if he can even play next year. So why would you trade out of the number one pick and give up on Joe freaking Burrow? That's the way you always have to say it, you know. Well, if you're in Athens, it's Joey freaking Burrow, because that's what they call him. But anyway, we're in Cincinnati. We'll call him Joe freaking Burrow. Anyway, back to my point. Mike Brown, if you guys remember, back in '99, Bruce Cosby said, I can win with Jeff Blake. You know, we got a quarterback. We just need a couple other things, offensive line, blah, blah, blah. Mike Brown goes, nope, we're drafting Kelly Smith. Mike Dickey goes, hey, Mike, I'll give you my entire draft, the whole thing, for your pick. And it wasn't even the number one pick. I think it was the second or third one. I don't remember exactly. He still said no. Mike Brown loves quarterbacks. You know what else he likes? He likes money. You know what Joe Burrow will bring to him? Money. People will be excited that the Bengals drafted him, and they will go to the game to go watch him play. There's no way Mike Brown is not drafting him. Now I've had another guy come up to say, well, this is what I think is happening. You know, he's already got an agent. Well, it's not, happened yet or it's official. But he's probably going to tell his agent that, no, by no circumstances do I want to go to Cincinnati. I said, okay. Well, my comeback to that is, have you seen Joe Burrow, his path to where he's gotten to? He was down in the depth chart at Ohio State. Never got a shot. Ever, So he had to fight his way. He transferred to LSU. Yes, last year he didn't have the best year. He didn't have a terrible year, but he didn't have the best year. This year he has an unbelievable year. So he's an underdog. He believes that he's the man, that he can do it. So, a guy who thinks like that and has went through what he's went through the last 4 years of nobody believing in him, he hasn't even given him a shot, and he finally gets a shot, a legit shot. And in 2 years, he's went from, maybe a second round pick to the number one pick overall. That guy is not going to take the challenge on in his home state to try to turn the Bengals around. I don't think so. I could be wrong, but just the competitor and person he is and he's shown to be, I think he wants to take the challenge on to turn the Bengals around. I hope you do, Joe Burrow, because I think you are the best talent-wise right now. As of right now, I mean, he's never played a snap in the NFL, so I have no idea. But from what I've seen of the games I watched you play this year, you are the best quarterback coming out of the draft that the Bengals will ever draft. I even think he's better than Carson Palmer, and I loved Carson Palmer. By the way, this is my Joe Burrow jersey now. It's not Carson Palmer. I took Palmer off. It's empty now, but I'll put Burrow on there eventually. Anyway, that's my 2 cents of why I don't think Mike Brown will trade out of it. He's going to make him money. It's the biggest reason. Joe Burrow will make Mike Brown money. People will go to the games because they want to see Joe Burrow. So, all right, now, say the Bengals draft Joe Burrow, which they probably will. And everybody's like, Strawberry, we got to have an offensive line. Our offensive line is terrible. Yes, calm down. Our offensive line is terrible. If you look at it this way, though, we got our center situated. Hopkins, they signed him. That's our center. You got our left tackle, Jonah Williams. Yeah, he didn't play a snap last year, but he's supposed to come back and healthy. That's your left tackle. If you keep Corey Glenn and put him at left guard, that whole side of the offensive line is fine. Then you find a right guard, maybe Michael Jordan. Maybe not. I don't know. He could be, could not be. Either way, that could be your right guard. Then really all you got to do is get a right tackle. So basically you got to get a right guard and a right tackle. can't get that in the draft or free agency, then you shouldn't be in the business of pro football. Now, the other things we need, that in my opinion, linebackers. Linebacker help badly. Need that badly. So I think you can address that in the draft. Wide receivers. This draft is full of wide receivers. They can get a wide receiver in the 3rd, 4th round. A good one, too. Now, that comes to the other point about A.J. Green. I love A.J. Green. He wants to be signed. He said he's not going to show up to OTAs or anything unless he has a contract. So, Bengals, you either figure out if you're going to give him the money and sign him, because you got to sign him and you got to sign Mixon. I would love them to get both of them in here for OTAs, for off-season workouts, for everything. So, Joe Burrow comes in. Hey, Adrian Green, what's up, man? I'm Joe. How you doing? Hey, Mix, what's up, man? You know, they get to know each other, run routes, figure out what they do. So, hopefully, we can hit the ground running. Now, if you're not going to sign A.J. Green, then you trade him before the draft so you can get a draft pick where you could draft another wide receiver with what I just said is a draft full of wide receivers. So, offensive line, yeah, it's bad. It got better. It got better when Glenn showed up. When Corey Glenn showed up, the offensive line got better. If you look at the last 4 games of the season, Andy Dalton didn't get sacked that much. I mean, there's at least one game he didn't get sacked at all. So, anyway. And then the other thing, you trade Andy Dalton, you get another draft pick, hopefully for this year, and you just keep building on that. And you got to sign free agents. Mike, where you screwed up, when we made the playoffs, we hit on almost every draft pick for 5 straight years. That doesn't happen to most teams. Not on every pick. Every pick hit and contributed during that playoff run. And then it came to keeping the guys that got you there, and you let Whitworth go, and you let Zeitler go, and you let Sanu go, and you let Marvin Jones go, which was all freaking stupid. And you kept Pac-Man Jones, and you kept Montez Perfect. Anyway. So I'm hoping Mike Brown will learn from his mistakes. He sort of has in the past, because since Achilles Smith, that's the last quarterback we drafted, and we stunk as far as not getting any better. We drafted Carson Palmer, we got offensive line, we won a couple of divisions. They got better, and then then I think Mike Brown screwed up and didn't get Carson what he needed, and he got pissed off and was done. Andy Dalton, 5 years of playoffs. Yeah, no, we didn't win a playoff game, but we had 5 years where we went to the playoffs. So he can do it. The thing is, Mo Egger said this, I don't know, a couple months ago. Mike Brown wants to win. Mike Brown doesn't necessarily want to do everything it takes to win. And that's where I'm hoping Katie, who I think is taking over more and more and more, wants to do that. I don't know for a fact. I have no idea. But that's what I'm hoping that she wants to do, is put a winning franchise here to represent her grandfather's legacy. This is Paul Brown's legacy. And Mike Brown first took over horrendous. But the last, 17 years, I say since the draft of Carson Palmer, it hasn't been terrible. I mean, it hasn't. No, we haven't won a playoff game, but it's been a lot better than it was the entire for most decade of the 90s. So, I know it can happen that we can get to a certain level. Mike Brown has got to come up there and help them get past that level. And I think Joe Burrow is a quarterback who can go even farther. I mean, I know people are saying he's got NFL wide receivers. Well, people were saying before the championship game, he's got an NFL line. Did you see the line? Clemson was going through it. Joe Burrow was running. I mean, he was on the move. It wasn't like he just sat back there and made the plays. Now, the wide receivers, yeah, they beat him, but if you look, it wasn't even a touchdown pass. It wasn't like they beat him by 5 miles and he just had to drop it in there. I mean, they had 1 or 2 steps on him, but Joe Burrow hit him right there. And those are perfect passes. I mean, it's just, I know some people get tired of the Joe Burrow hype train, but hell, toot, we're just getting started. Draft's not till April, so get used to it. I'm just saying, I'd rather look at it as a glass half full than half empty. We got a shot. We got the best quarterback coming out since Andrew Luck, bar none. Disagree? Agree? Share your comments below or on my Facebook page. and we can discuss it. All right, moving on to the Bearcats. My Bearcats, man. They got a tough one tonight. They're at Memphis tonight, 7 o'clock ESPN. This team, after the first game of the year, Ohio State, I'm like, dude, we're going to be good, which I still think we're going to be good. But we've been such a Jekyll and Hyde team from game to game, from half to half. I mean, one half we can't act like we've never played basketball before. Then the next half we're running them out of the gym. We've had games like that where, we get the lead and then we don't know how to close it out. It's like, it's very frustrating watching them, but we have to keep in mind, this team, Mick Cronin was a zone defensive team. This team is switching to man-to-man. They do some zone, but mostly Brandon is a man-to-man defensive-oriented coach. So that's different. I mean, you got to learn that. You got, I think, 5 guys, from last year's team, mixed in with freshmen, mixed in with the transfers. I mean, it's a lot to mesh, and they're a talented team. It's not that they're not talented. It's just a lot to mesh. Their chances of the NCAA tournament right now are not very good. I hate to say that. I'm trying to be realistic. They pretty much can't lose any more games. And if they do, they can't lose. They got to win the big ones. They got to beat Memphis. They got to beat Wichita State. They got to beat Houston. They got to beat these teams. It'll help boost their RPI and all that stuff. But I still have a bad feeling that we're going to have to win the American Conference tournament to get in. I hope I'm wrong, but if you look at bracketology and everything, we're not in right now. We're not even close. So I hope I'm wrong, but I think Brandon found something out at the last game. Jaron Crumlin for 3 years has played under Mick Cronin, which is complete iso ball. So he always had the ball in his hand, and he could take it one-on-one and, jump shot, take it off the dribble, whatever. Jaron has shown he can't play without the ball. The last game, Brandon put the ball in his hand, had him run point. Now, I'm not saying you do that the entire game. I said this I had a really short 2 cents, I think last week. But that's what I was basically saying. Jaron can't play without the ball. He's a really good distributor. He can get the guys in the right plays. He knows what they're supposed to be. And he has the ball, so he can shoot it, he can score. He can do what he wants. And I really like Jaron and Javon playing together at the same time. They have a chemistry that you can't match. They're cousins. They're family. They've been playing together since, they're 5-6 years old. So that's something you can't teach. It's different. If you watch a game, it's different. They play different. They play better when they're together. So what I'm hoping tonight is he starts out Jaron Crumlin at point and Javon at the 2 guard. Like I said, you can bring the other guys off the bench. I'm not saying do it the entire game, but I think at least to get Jaron going, he's got to have the ball in his hands. I think that's a big key for him getting going. Because he's had games where like the last game, I think he scored one point in the first half, then he scored 8, but then he had 14 assists in the second half. And that's how we ended up winning. So that's where I think Brandon should go. I'm hoping that's what he's leaning to, because that's the way he played it the last game. So anyway, check it out tonight, 7 o'clock ESPN. Either way, if you do all that stuff, it's going to be hard to beat Memphis at Memphis. But they can do it. They got the talent. They can do it. I mean, now, they still had I can't remember the guy's name, the 7-footer from Memphis who's going to the NBA draft. If they still had him, I'd probably say we don't have a chance. But they don't. So check it out tonight. All right. We're getting closer and closer to spring training. Now, my question is, are you guys happy with what the Reds have done? Adding Mustakas, adding Wade Miley, adding Okiyama. I think they're all great moves. I was talking to the guy earlier today, and he brought up a good point I hadn't even thought of. There are a lot of left-handed bats there. There are a lot of left-handed bats. That does pose a problem. But I'm not sure what you do about it now. People are like, oh, go get another outfitter. We've already got, 5? If you're having Senzel out in your left or center, we already have 5 outfielders. Or, 6 outfielders. Counting Winker and Phil. That's 6 outfielders. So if you get another one, I don't know. That's a lot of outfielders. But anyway, I'm excited about them. I do agree we're too left-handed. Like I said, I never thought about it before till this guy brought up. I do agree with Tula left-handed, but the one thing we have that I think is better than the rest of the Central, our starting pitching. Our starting pitching is going to keep us in games. We still got to add some stuff to the bullpen, but I love our back end with Iglesias and Garrett and Lorenzen. I think those three, to me, my favorite team of all time, the 1990 team, the Nasty Boys. Those three are just as nasty as those guys were. So it could, David Bell's not going to let him pitch past the 5th or 6th inning anyway. So hopefully the bullpen will come in and shut them down. We just got to score this year. We got to get on base. We got to score. Now, my thoughts for Joey Votto. Last year, I think he tried to get into the launch angle and try to get back to hitting 30 homers and stuff. Unfortunately, I think those years have passed him. I still think he can hit around 300, but he just needs to go back to being the line drive hitter, be the number 2 hitter, and get on base. If he gets on base and Akiyama gets on base, everybody else should line up and knock him in. That's what I think Joey Votto needs to do. You don't pay him that much money to do this. Blah, blah. You know what? The contract is what the contract is. All right? You can't do anything about it. He signed. There's nothing. Complaining about it doesn't do any good. What he needs to do is whatever's best for the team. My opinion, that's what's best for the team. I don't know what David Bell thinks. We'll see what happens. So anyway, I'm very excited for the Reds. I think we got a shot at winning the division, at least getting the wild card. I mean, if you look at our lineup, it's going to be pretty good. Moustakas, pretty good player, pretty good hitter there. All right. Now that brings you to the sign stealing from the Astros and the Red Sox. Now, no, at all, I don't condone it. You shouldn't do it. It's a fine line. If you do it within the context of the game and you don't use computers and cameras and stuff like that, it's different. That's actually really going ahead and saying, all right, we're going to cheat doing this. If you do it during the game, you can find a guy, he tips his hat or he does something for, do a curveball or whatever. That's just gamesmanship. That's different. That is looking for an edge. Putting a camera there, that's blatantly cheating. Now, my question is, this can affect outcomes of games. Obviously, I mean, the Dodgers could be ticked off. They could have had 2 World Series taken away from them. Who knows? But my point is, I'm trying to get to is, do you think that the managers and the general manager that are involved in this need to be punished as severely as Pete Rose? Because it's the same thing. It's cheating. It's Pete Rose, you're saying, all right, he bet on the game. Where everybody's like, well, he only bet on the win. You're right. But if you know the games that he didn't bet on them, he doesn't think they're going to win. So if you knew that, then you could bet, oh, Pete's not betting today, so I'm not going to bet. Or you're going to bet against them. So it's kind of the same thing. So, I mean, it's cheating. It is. And if anybody knew that they had the signs stealing, it's cheating. I mean, it's in the rules. You can't cheat. So I think they should at least be banned. They're suspended for a year. I think they should be on the ban list, and they have to go do exactly what Pete Rose had to do. You go ask for reinstatement. It's not, in my book, it's not any different. It's the same thing. It's the rules. You can't cheat. You can't bet on baseball. Anyway, that's my 2 cents for today. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share. Tell everybody about me. That's my 2 cents. That's just sports, baby. You guys take it easy. See ya.